and a couple of other platforms that would like to be major platforms. And I mean, we have more than 10 million users worldwide, so a pretty global and big audience, which is actually using Wikitude. Regarding content, content is always king. So I said we are providing the platform where developers can actually build something on top of it. We do have 3,000 or more than 3,000 content partners, which are connecting to these more than 10 million users over Wikitude. And these content partners include, I mean, individuals, just the ordinary developers who just want to create some nice little AR things, but also big brands. Here's some, just an example, Facebook, Starbucks, eBay, BBC, Red Bull, and a couple of others. It's always nice to show these kind of logo clouds, and that actually brands are using the platform, which is cool. Very recently, we've launched Wikitude 7.0 on Android and iPhone, and BlackBerry is going to come soon, which allows content developers to be a lot more visible on the Wikitude platform. It basically introduces the a panorama UI, and you probably know a panorama UI from your home screen of your mobile phone, of your smartphone, something like on the iOS, where you can scroll through the screens, or on Android as well. I mean, same thing, and where all the apps are located on the screen. Basically, Wikitude 7.0 comes on 3 different screens. The middle one is the start screen, which we call the featured screen. Allows content developers, after they have created their content and tested it, to upload some feature assets so that, they are, somehow jumping right into the face of the user, saying, this is cool, try it out, this is the content you want to experience. So, for example, here, this is kind of our start setup with Facebook, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Hotels.com, and a couple of others. And, if you're a developer, if you want to be on that feature screen, as I said, I mean, you should upload a feature asset, and then we'll make sure that you're going to be visible there. And the other 2 screens are basically favorites and category screen. Favorite screen allows you to organize your Wikitude to your needs, basically what the content worlds that you actually want to see and you want to experience. You can put that on the on your screen, so it's accessible with just one click. And a category screen, as I said, we have more than 3,000 content worlds, and it gets necessarily complex to somehow structure these things, and so we introduced the categories to make it more easier for our users. Okay, so this is kind of the user perspective, how you can actually use Wikitude as a user. But we of course also have a developer offering, and this is the major part of the talk today. What is actually possible with the Wikitude tools, with the tools we are providing for the AR community? How can you build something with Wikitude? And so we do have 2 different ways for developers to actually create augmented reality content. And I mean, I will come to these 2 things later on, but it's important to note that the common technology in the background, the engine that's powering the Wikitude application, or all the ways where you can publish content, is essentially the same, and it's called the Wikitude Architect. Basically, as you see in the lower part, the Wikitude Architect is a JavaScript library, which you can use to create augmented reality content. It uses HTML, it uses JavaScript for ordinary web developers to create AR content. This hasn't been possible before, and with the Wikitude Architect, we actually make this possible. So now, 2 ways to publish AR content or create augmented reality content. One thing is, that's been out for a while already, is you can publish something in Wikitude. So what you do is you write your JavaScript file, with the Wikitude Architect library, just as you would write an ordinary JavaScript for a web page. You also create the HTML part for static content, kind of the layout of your scene. And then that's basically it. You upload it to our Wikitude server, and it's going to be published on Wikitude and will be available to these 10 million users worldwide. So this is one thing where you can actually reuse the market share we already have. The second thing is, if you do have your own app, if you want to enhance that with augmented reality, that's a very common use case. You somehow obviously want to bundle augmented reality content with your application, and you can actually do that by using the Wikitude SDK. Basically, again, this is like a library which is written in native code in this case, but also you can reuse your JavaScript and HTML you have created also in the Wikitude SDK. So this is kind of the core principle. You can publish on both sides. You can publish in Wikitude and in your own native app by essentially writing one JavaScript file which contains all the augmented reality code. So this is our offering to developers, and this is what you can do. Let's go a little bit into the details of what you can actually do with the JavaScript library, with the Wikitude Architect. I mean, basically, I will run through a selection of features, what is actually possible, and there's a lot more on our webpage you can find out about what you can actually do. But let's start with a simple example, a geo object. So a geo object basically for us is some spot that has a location, a geolocation somewhere on the Earth, like this building here. And you somehow want to create virtual, or you want to attach virtual content to this particular geolocation. I mean, this is a very common use case for geo-based augmented reality, and what we've heard today as well in a couple of other sessions. So this is basically what you do. You write these 3 lines of JavaScript. So you create something that we call a drawable, something like a circle or whatever, an image, could be a 3D model as well. You somehow specify where this is actually located through a geolocation, and then you combine these 2 things and make a geo object out of it. And this is all you need to do. And it will appear in this particular location, as you all know in augmented reality applications. Another thing, this is probably a little bit more, something that goes beyond to what is already possible for developers to do, is something what we call triggers, the interaction with the developer, or with the user. So, with augmented reality applications, previously what was possible for developers is, you create your points of interest, you create the description, you upload it to a certain server, and that was it. You cannot react to user interaction, you cannot react to something like the user clicks on it or moves around, something like that. And so with these triggers we introduced in the Wikitude Architect, this is actually possible to do. So for example here, the very basic trigger is something like an on-click trigger. So the user clicks on one of these geo objects you have created in the first example. Now what you can do is you can specify a function, a JavaScript function, and you can react to this click. You can change the scene, you can create new objects, you can whatever you want, whatever is required in your use case, you can actually react to that. So you can change the entire scene if you want. A second trigger, a different kind of it, is what we call the field of vision trigger. This is the right example here. So basically what we want to achieve with this is, as the user is moving around, geo objects are coming into the field of vision and moving out of it. And for some use cases, this is certainly interesting, to get notified that this is actually happening. So you could imagine, like a bird flying around, and you have to keep it in the field of vision, which is a tiny little game. If it's out of the field of vision, points are decreased, and if it's in the field of vision, points are increased. And so, you're just kind of moving around this way, and obviously you need something like a field of vision trigger to make this possible as a developer. Another type here is the geofencing trigger. A basic example, obviously, is that you are somehow approaching Venice here, and as soon as you get into the city of Venice, you get a welcome, hello, nice to see you here. Spend some time and money at the hotels, definitely. This is the geofencing trigger. So as soon as the user enters a certain area or moves out of a certain area, then the developer can specify a function again and can react to that, which is pretty cool. And another thing which makes it interesting for developers and users is obviously something like animation and multimedia. You want to make a scene interactive. You just don't want to put up these static things and, yeah, I know that this is a Starbucks, but what else is there to do? So basically you can animate any property that you set in the JavaScript. Geolocation is just one example. You could animate something, flying around. Or you can change the altitude, whatever number value you have in your application, you can actually apply a property animation to it. You can set a duration. You can apply easing curves, so it's like it increases and then decreases slightly the property change. So these are just examples of what you can do. Multimedia, of course, something like sound and video is very important. Otherwise, it's just a boring scene. And you could imagine, like with this bird example flying around, and you have to keep it in the field of vision. As soon as you reach a certain level of points, then something like, yay, you won. Now you can, I don't know, redeem a voucher, which is always a very nice example. Some video could play or some sound, something like that. These are just examples of what is actually possible. And now I was talking all about JavaScript, but you might ask, you were talking about HTML and that the developer can actually create something like an AR page, like a web page. Where's the HTML part? So this is basically the static content of your scene. That means that this is not related to location or something moving around. This is just a heads-up display, for example. So you want to create a diff or an image saying, I don't know, a game stat or whatever. Basically static on the screen. This is achievable with HTML, and this is basically what the file you would actually create would look like. So all you have to do is standard HTML, and then you would include something like script source equals architect/architect.js, which comes bundled with the SDK or Wikitude, so you don't have to deal with it. This is basically the library. This is what you have to include, and then you can make each and every web page basically AR ready, and you can include content, AR content, into any web page. And this is all you need to do. And certainly, an approach to open up AR for web technologies is very interesting and opens up a broader developer and user community. And Hafez will talk a little bit more about that in the next talk. Basically, how AR and the web can relate somehow. A quick case study. We have a couple of examples of who is actually using this library, the Wikitude Architect, already. I was kind of, sourcing and just picking one of our favorite applications here. This is something that is called Langar, the Augmented Reality Language Guide, which was developed by Pearson, BBC, and publisher DK. And so basically what it does is it's an application where you can go to Spain, and if you don't speak Spanish, you sometimes have the problem to order stuff, for example, in a restaurant. I don't speak Spanish, or at least not a lot. So this is very useful. You go into a restaurant, and then as soon as you click on this POI, say this is a restaurant, I'm in this restaurant right now, then you get a list of all the snippets you might use to order stuff, to say hello, to say, I don't know, please get me the check. This is too expensive, I don't like that, blah, blah. So there's a wide variety of these snippets, and this is all done with JavaScript in the augmented reality, which is pretty cool. So you can check it out on Wikitude. It's called Langar and is available everywhere. So if you now want to use the Wikitude Architect library, basically what you have to do to get started is from our webpage you can download the Architect tools, which includes documentation examples, the Architect mobile viewer, which basically is an application you have in hand where you can test your JavaScript file if it does what it should do. We also include an Architect desktop engine, which allows you to run your augmented reality file in a desktop browser, in an ordinary desktop browser, just for debugging, if there's anything wrong inside your file. Of course, you can use Wikitude 7.0 to make it visible for these millions and millions of users already using Wikitude. And the Wikitude SDK is there for you. If you have your own app and you want to bundle it, you can use the Wikitude SDK. So that was pretty much it. We do have a developer site and a forum. If you have questions, there are developers actually helping you out, or if there's no answer to that question, we are glad to assist you. You can post any questions here. Otherwise, I'm there for questions now or during the conference. Thanks a lot.
So if anyone has any questions, if you can, just please come up to the microphone. Well, I have a question while he comes up. I recently saw that you were doing some things with car navigation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yes, we do Wikitude Drive. Wikitude Drive is a navigation system for cars and for pedestrians. And basically, it's a use case where there's always a question: what is AR really useful for? Where should we use it? And augmented reality navigation is actually something that is really useful. I mean, immediately you don't have to explain anything to a user. You just fire up the application, and it tells you, actually. The street is superimposed. I mean, you immediately see where you have to go. You don't need any road signs or something. There's just like someone standing there and saying, now go left, now go right. So this is an application we do as well. It's separate from Wikitude, so it's not in Wikitude as such, but it's available for download in the Android market.
My question is about the 10 million users. Do you have like location data on where those users are? So we can go pitch these concepts to a potential client in our area, I come from Hawaii, and if you only have 10 users in Hawaii, there's no way I'm going to be able to.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're certainly we know where our users are. We do have analytic data for that. And I mean, just shoot me an email and ask me for that, and I will share whatever we can share with that.
Okay. Well, if no more questions, thank you.
Thank you.